We rise with a purpose, shine through the night. Voices of courage, lifting the light. Step into your moment, let your spirit fly. We are the voices that reach for the sky.
Welcome to Voices of Purpose, a podcast that shines a light on the quiet heroes, passionate change makers, and the everyday people answering the call to make a difference.
Here we explore the stories behind the mission, the why that drives the work, and celebrate the power of purpose in action.
Hello, I'm Chris Wooters.
And I'm Chris Hibbert. We're the hosts of your show for today. Tonight we're absolutely privileged to welcome Queen Lori Sheehan, as she likes to be called. Can we just call you Lori tonight?
You can call me just Lori.
Just Lori's okay, is it? And who's the little friend, Lori?
This is Lola, and she has learned all about Zooms. We got her right before COVID. And so anytime she hears a voice that's not mine, she knows I'm on Zoom and she has to be on camera.
Front and center, right?
Front and center.
That's good. Did you have her as a puppy?
Yeah.
Oh, so nice. So nice.
Awesome.
So Lori, it's so great that you've been able to join us tonight, and thank you for giving up some time. We've sent you a few questions across, and one of the first questions we wanted to ask you was, what is your personal definition of purpose, and how did you discover yours?
I think purpose is whatever spark is within you that is igniting you to challenge yourself and to do and to accomplish, I guess, what you set out to accomplish. Doing the things that you want to do. My purpose, came a little bit later in life in terms of the health and fitness industry. It's always been a part of my life, even when I had my what I call my solid career, my very solid career in marketing, which was my background, and working for the software company. It was a safe and secure job, and my health and fitness had to be put into my life when time permitted, which usually meant 11 o'clock at night after the kids were in bed, after homework was done, after everything else that I needed to do for the next day was completed. And then maybe I would get an hour of time to myself to either do some yoga or lift weights or run or whatever. So it's always been a part of my life. Just I never dreamed that I would actually have it be my career.
Wow. Was there a certain point that it just kind of made sense to make that front and center?
Yeah, our kids got a little bit older, and as they started getting involved in sports and activities at school, my job really had me traveling quite a bit in the spring, and I just, Brian and I sat down and said, one of us needs to be in the bleachers with the kids. One of us needs to be a little more home-based.
So how did you first manage to sort of make that transition? How did that kind of emerge, from working full time to making fitness, which was a hobby, actually making it part of your sole working project, really?
Actually, a little bit of Lion's End and my career travel before. I would take notes everywhere I went I'm always in the gyms at the hotels. And so I would take notes of things that I really liked and things that I didn't like. And I had a little notebook, and I don't know that I kept it for any purpose, like intentionally that I was going to open a gym of my own. But I just found like some of the little extra details that they made I really liked. And for whatever reason, I chose to write them down. And I used that to build my gym. All those ideas, I tried to take the best ideas from everyone else and create my gym. And in the end, I ended up with a family health club. I had equipment for kids and activities for kids because I didn't like the concept of parents bringing their kids to the gym and plunking them in front of a video or watching a movie. playing a game. I wanted them to be active too. And it turned out to be probably the best idea I had, because the kids were the ones bringing their parents in, saying, let's go to the gym, and getting their parents in when they were tired and thinking they just wanted to stay home.
So you actually hit off with the kids, and that's I know is with all different service industries, one of the best ways you can see is actually getting the kids involved. It gets the parents to come in there. It helps out quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's something we're working on. How to, in the UK, we're trying to use the school kids with a lot of youth projects. Peace posters, the raw competition, vision screening, all those kind of projects. And we see this as a real great opportunity to try and get parents to get involved with Lions, either as supporters or Lions themselves, because once you give service to their children, they're aware of Lions, and hopefully they'll become part of it as well. You never know. It's certainly a good way of getting adults involved with anything, isn't it? Same with Scouts. When I was in that, it was exactly the same. You get them along as helpers, and then eventually they tend to be persuaded to become leaders. So,
yeah, absolutely true. Yeah, I was in Scouts, and my mom was my Scout leader. So it just when I was an adult and I had my own daughters, they wanted to get involved in Scouts, and it was just a natural fit to be their leader, because that's what I knew. That's the same thing with Lions. We were born and raised helping our, my grandfather and father and Brian's parents do service projects, and it wasn't a matter of. We always say it wasn't a matter of if we would become Lions. It was just when.
Yeah, it's great.
I know that's actually how I met you, Lori, is getting more involved with organizations that you started, the Lions in Motion. And that, of course, to me is a big part of who I am. I'm not an athlete by a runner by any chance, but I know that getting moving and doing things for people that can't by doing things just because we can is big. How did the Lions in Motion really come to a front for you, and how did you make that happen?
It was really just brainstorming with Brian. He's a type 2 diabetic, so he's supposed to be exercising and eating healthy. He doesn't enjoy exercising in the traditional sense of, weightlifting or running and things like that, but he loves to golf and he loves to play baseball, and both of those are excellent forms of exercise. It's been a little bit harder for him as he's gotten older to play baseball, but my biggest push with this is that I wanted Lions to continue having fun. I wanted them to do activities that they enjoy doing, whether it was playing pickleball or golfing or swimming or biking or walking, dancing, whatever that activity was, to understand that it's any activity is good activity. Anytime you're getting your body moving, it's healthy. So do what you enjoy, have fun doing it, and get your members and your community hopefully moving with you and raising some money for our incredible foundation.
That's brilliant. We were actually talking to another guest fairly recently. She was actually talking about a 0.1 of a kilometer race. And that fascinated me really, because we're always talking about marathons and half marathons and 10Ks and 5Ks. And these are all really frightening for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But the thought of actually putting your trainers on to do a 0.1K run or walk is just incredible as an idea. And she was talking about, I can't remember the numbers, can you, Chris? It was thousands, wasn't it?
Involved. Thousands upon thousands of people that are just doing it because they can, especially our disabled people that can't do it as much, and they know they could do that.
Yeah,
that was a great idea. It's not about what you can't do; it's about what you can do, isn't it?
Exactly, and finding the activity that you really enjoy doing. I mean, exercise. I had to tell my clients this over and over again. Exercise is not meant to be painful, and it's not meant to be something that you dread doing. It should just, if you really want to make a healthy lifestyle change, you have to enjoy doing it. Just like anything else in life, you're not going to do it if you don't enjoy it. So you have to, keep trying different activities and find the one that you really love. And you might not be the best at it at first, but if you thought it was fun, keep at it and you'll get better.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, my sort of enjoyment for a lot of the years I've been alive is walking. I used to challenge myself to all sorts of silly challenges, like the 3 peaks that I believe you're going to do fairly soon. I did that in 24 hours, actually did in 22 hours, and that's including driving between the mountains. So in Scotland, I think we started in Scotland and called it in the Lake District and then down to Wales. Just over 22 hours it took to do that. I can't challenge myself to those kind of things anymore. But I understand that you're coming to the UK to have a go at that yourself.
Right. Well, we have a team of Lions coming over in September. And now our Tri-Peak Challenge will be a little bit different. I know that typically they try to do all 3 mountains in, like you said, the 24 hours. But we plan to spread this out over a week. So we will go up and down a mountain, come down, and we'll work with Lions in that area or go see a Lions project and do some service work in between. So our challenge is just to do the 3 and the service work, but not to do it all in 24 hours.
That sounds a lot more pleasant to me. Certainly, it was really hard work when we did all 3 in 24 hours. Are you up for a little quiz, Lori?
Sure.
It's a really, really simple, quick quiz. So you're going to do the 3 peaks of the UK, and they are 1 in Scotland, 1 in the Lake District, and 1 in Wales. Can you name all 3 of them?
Okay, Snowdon.
Yes.
It's like Grayson's Peak or Pike. Yeah, you got me on this one. If you'd asked me about 20 minutes ago when I had it fresh in my mind, I'd have them.
Brilliant. So Scotland is Ben Nevis.
Ben Nevis.
And the Lake District is Scafell Pike.
Scafell Pike. See?
And it's a strange name. And Wales, as you say, is Snowdon. Mm-hmm. Now, for the prize money, which is the highest?
I believe it's Snowdon.
Oh, no.
No?
Chris,
oh, my gosh.
There's 2 more to go, Chris. Which one do you think?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Ben Nevis is Scotland. Yeah. Ben Nevis is the tallest. That's at 1,345 meters.
I'm glad I'm so prepared for my climb.
Ben Nevis is a nice, gentle walk. It just takes a long time.
Yeah, very good.
We actually we were up further up higher this last February, right? When we were over in Morocco, I think, up in the mountains there. Yeah,
they're not particularly high, but it will be a challenge.
Yeah, we've tried to make this team all-inclusive. We call it Lions ACT, and it stands for Adventure Challenge Team. So we won't always be climbing mountains. Sometimes we might be doing walking miles and miles of shoreline, cleaning up shoreline. Sometimes we might be on water or just whatever the challenge is, we plan to try to take these things on as Lions.
It's awesome. That's a great idea. Great idea. And I love the fact that you're doing some service projects in between as well. I mean, that's a great addition. Really is.
It's a chance to meet the Lions and see what we'll be raising money for the local projects. So it's just a chance to meet with those Lions and see the projects firsthand.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Lori, you were actually, speaking of projects and service projects, one of the things that we're actually trying to promote here is the telethon, which is coming up in June 1st. And it is a story, basically a retelling of all the different projects around the world that Lions Club International Foundation does to help promote and to provide different things all the way around the world. And one of those ways that we do that is the last 3 years has been through the Global Service Week. in providing service in one different location to showcase and to help out and to show the videos of the people on the streets, on the, in the different areas that are really doing the service and really make the changes. I know you've been a part of this. Can you give you just your experience and what you've seen through all this and how it's helped shape your purpose?
Global Service Week has been one of the best additions I think we have to our schedule. And having that opportunity to work with Lions from around the world, we know that all of our clubs do things a little bit differently. We all have different projects. So it's been a really great learning experience. I can't say enough about it. And now we have a whole other family, our Global Service Family Alliance, that just like when you are a governor and you have your group of governors that you're close with, or when you're director, you end up having all these close networks of Lions that you've worked with in some capacity. And this is just another one of those networks.
Yeah, I think Chris would probably call it a family, wouldn't you, my friend?
It's definitely a family. I mean, anybody that would go into a restaurant and then go out and take the, I'm not going to say abuse that comes later, but the taking part of your family coming out of there and wanting to pull all the hair off your body, for a donation to LCIF,
Yeah, I would say that this group has come up with some of the most original fundraising and creative fundraising, and I'm glad that you were on the recipient end of the waxing. But it was painful enough for those of us that even watched or tore off one of the sheets. But it's every year that we've done this, we have had a fun challenge like that. I think when we were in Kenya, that was when Turkey had their earthquake while we were there, and we were challenged to raise some money. We did the jump-a-thon in the trampoline park, just the personal donations from the group. I think we ended up raising almost $70,000 in Kenya that week for earthquake relief in Turkey. And so it's just, it's a really good group of Lions that you give them a challenge and they will meet it. And you did.
Well, I mean, to me, it's more than just a good group. And we see this all the way around the world. And I'm sure that all of us have the same type of families at home that we deal with. But it is truly a family when it comes down to when the service needs to be done, when the work needs to be done. Everyone jumps in. There's not a single person that thinks that they're too far above, getting their hands dirty and actually getting down there and working with the different people in the different areas. And that truly, for me, has changed my life, because it doesn't matter where you're at or who you are. It's the service that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of my favorite things about the week is, it started while Brian was an officer, and we've worked quite hard to try to get rid of any protocol that may have popped in. And we've, everyone's been very open to that idea and pretty receptive to it, to where we just want to come as Lions. We're all Lions. We're all equals. We're all doing the same service. So there should be no special considerations for an officer or someone in that capacity. So it's just been really fun, and all the fun is on the bus.
Yeah.
Had a lot of great conversations, and actually the podcast ideas were all discussed on the bus rides. And, we have those long trips in between, but it's great discussion, great ideas being thrown around, and it's really enjoyable.
That's one of the best parts of it, I think, is the actual, chance to sit and have a conversation with fellow Lions from other parts of the world, and not necessarily to be serving all the while. We, in India, we had quite a few opportunities to let our hair down a little bit and have some fun. I can still remember, and I've got the video, in fact, of Chris doing his cowboy song, which was, we might have to put that on air. It was an absolute piece of work.
Producer, he said they can't make it happen. Sorry.
I'll put it on separately. But having those times to have some fun, talk about different ideas, learn a little bit about how to use technology to our advantage. was one of the key things that came out of India for me. But that is so important as well as the serving. It's socializing and making friends with your fellow Lions from all over the world.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I know Mark Manziel would not like the fact that the things that Brian taught me about changing faces and making people do things came from that trip. But
we were just with them in Washington State, and he got some more of that. So
he's chosen to like it by now, right?
yeah, well, I don't know that we gave him a choice. So,
but no, that's another one. You know, there's just so many great people that we've met on these different trips, and a part of it is just stepping out and doing things that you normally wouldn't do, but you're trying to make sure that you're still doing it for a purpose and being able to go forward. You know, I look at some of my other different UK family that I've met now, you know, like Rich, you know, is taking on this stuff with his videos. He's doing phenomenal work that we all learned there, you know, and it's one thing to learn something, but then it's another thing to actually use it to empower others and to be able to showcase what you're doing for others outside of that. You know, he's one that is definitely doing that. And I see that all the way around. You know, there's not a single person that's not doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's really helped in having you know, the WhatsApp group chats where we're constantly sharing media and having the marketing group and sharing those ideas, and that's just been a whole other addition to what we do. You know, on the ground and service wise, we have this whole background of work being done as well, and it's just been incredible connections to be able to have that at our fingertips has been incredible.
Yeah, I've got Rich doing I think he's doing about 5 videos at the moment for RMD convention. He's doing 2 for me, and so yeah, he's busy. And I've seen the first one he's put together for me, and it's really good.
That's awesome.
Really good for showing off Morocco.
That's awesome. You know, and one of the main things we wanted to showcase and why we started doing this Voices of Purpose is, you know, everyone hears these great stories and they see all these great things that are happening and they just think our lives are all perfect and that we've never gone through problems and we've never had different things we've had to work through. And I know, Lori, that you know, there have been things that have shaped your purpose and you had to go through. Do you mind showcasing just one, or just telling us one story as far as like one of these things you've had to go through?
Yeah, I mean, and I'll share a couple with you. You know, I can remember being, 19, 20 years old, and it's such a difficult age because you feel like, you know, you're old and you're an adult, but, you know, you look back and you're just a kid. And there was just a lot of uncertainty around that age for me. I just remember thinking I had to do things in a certain order, you know, graduate high school, go to college, graduate, get a job. You know, I had everything all lined up because that's how I thought it had to be. And I put an immense amount of pressure on myself and a lot of stress. And so when it turned out that I couldn't stand the college that I was in after my first year and was going to move, you know, to a different state, different college. I mean, it was just a lot of stress. And I remember thinking that I'm letting people down. I'm letting, you know, teachers down, I'm letting my parents down. I'm letting myself down. Maybe I need to stick it out and try this longer. And I think we all go through that phase at some point, and maybe more than once in our lives, where you have a significant change and you just question everything about it. And it was my mom who sent me a card in the mail, and she had printed out a poem by Ralph Waldo Emerson called Success. And it was like, if you could say, I got the perfect words given to me at the exact time I needed to hear them. It was that poem. And it was something that simple that shaped how I view almost everything. And really why I think it was easier for me to make that transition from the software company to opening a gym. Anything like that can be fearful, and opening your own business. But it was really the words from those poems that have always stuck with me. Like I said, she had printed it out and put it in the card, and I put that in a frame, and I've had it on every desk in every office that I've ever had. And the part that I'm going to read it so I don't get the wordage wrong, but the whole poem is quite short, but it talks about the real reasons, the real things of our meaning of success. And the last sentence was, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived this is to have succeeded. And when I read that, it just was like, it just released all that stress. It took it off of my shoulders and made me look at the bigger picture. And so we always try to tell our Lions the same thing. I mean, this poem really embodies everything that we do with service and that we do in Lions. So I know that we always try to tell Lions to make sure you are stepping back and acknowledging the work that you're doing. Don't get so caught up in the, we didn't have as many people show up for this project. I didn't have as many people helping with this project. We didn't make as much money as we did before with this project. We need this. It's if you look at all of those, it can be very overwhelming, and you can start to feel bad about something that you're doing that's really good. So we encourage our Lions to always step back and acknowledge that even if you've helped with one of these service projects, even if you just made someone smile, you have made someone's life better, and that is successful in itself. So I've really honestly carried that with me in everything I do. When COVID hit, that was probably the most brutal time for me in terms of being a gym owner. We were the first to have to close our doors. We were the last to be able to reopen, and it was reopening to an industry that had been turned upside down, because during COVID, a lot of gyms were renting out equipment to people to use at home. And if they weren't doing that, people were buying equipment and putting in home gyms, really like they had not had, at least at that level that we hadn't seen. So it just changed the industry completely. But, it was just not letting all of that consume me. And so I just, in terms of my fundraising and keeping Lions in Motion going, I hopped on my treadmill and I started running different places around the world virtually. I ran the Ring of Kerry. I ran a distance in Serbia between two cities. I was doing just runs and walks on my treadmill, raising money for LCIF for whatever cause happened to be needed at the time. And when I chose to, try to keep my business going as much as possible during COVID, it forced me to do what I had to do anyway when Brian and I started traveling right away. He was, if you remember, he held in place as second VP for 2 years. And so he was the second half of his second year being second VP when we started traveling again. And so I knew that my clients that I had for personal training, those eventually I was going to have to figure out how to do that remotely. So COVID kind of pushed me into all of that early and gave me a head start without having to learn on the go. And that ended up being kind of a nice break for me to get all of that in sync and get all of that set before we were actually traveling again.
It's a hard thing. I know going through we've all been through the stuff that COVID changed all the way we managed, but I can't imagine what it did, for your industry and having it change. You've obviously I've seen that the stuff on this side, as far as like Lions in Motion, you've taken that to the next level and really have been able to get a lot of different people out there that are moving and doing new things. One of the funnest things I've seen is, different conventions, seeing people doing Zumba, and just getting out there, cheer Zumba, I've seen that done, people just doing what they can. And it's more about why they're doing it than, the actual fact of what they're doing. And that's been just great to see.
Yeah, I actually had some great Lions that I met at the USA Canada Forum, and they don't have the ability to be moving around and walking and jumping or really anything when it comes to exercise. Everything they do is pretty much chair based. And she said, but she said, I can knit really fast, and I can knit great scarves. And And she said, that's kind of emotion, right? And I said, it's absolutely emotion. So she was knitting some scarves, and he was doing some painting, and they were selling those and making money for LCIF. So,
Awesome.
it's a matter of using your imagination and doing what you can. It's all going to a good cause.
Exactly.
Definitely. Well, on a slightly different topic, if I can. So today is World Earth Day. So what does World Earth Day mean to you?
I think it's a time that everyone needs to really stop and think about what their personal accountability. Earth Day allows us to, of course, do projects together and maybe plant trees or do things like community cleanup, things like that. But I always look at it kind of as personal accountability, and as a day to kind of go back and look at what I'm doing, what products I'm using in the house that might be hazardous to the environment, things that we might be using in the yard for yard work to make yard work easier, but what's it doing to the environment? Do I really need this beverage in this particular bottle? Can I get it in something that maybe takes up less space? Can I move to, rather than individual cans of liquid, can I move to going back to using that old plastic pitcher and making things that way? So I've tried to really cut down on my personal use of things that are thrown away. I try to be mindful of what I'm putting in the garbage, which will end up in the landfill, things that cannot be recycled well. And of course, the plastics. I have a lot of concern about the microplastics that they're finding, and of course, what it's doing to our oceans and the animals in the ocean. So everyone that knows my husband knows he's a Mountain Dew drinker, Diet Mountain Dew and Coke Zero, always has one in hand. If he has the bottles, it comes with that plastic ring, 6-ring plastic holder. And I know he brings those home, and I grab his scissors and I'm cutting them up because they're one of the worst things for our ocean, trapping animals and suffocating them. So I try to be mindful, but Earth Day for me is just that day to check and make sure I'm where I want to be.
I think that's great advice, to be honest. I think a lot of people feel overwhelmed by the problem, and they don't think that they can do anything significant. But I think if everybody does something, it becomes significant. It's similar to what you were saying before about the poem. It's about helping, doing small things to help one person. So I think that's really cool advice.
I don't want to break any breaking news right now, but I know one of the other things that came out of Morocco was a discussion with a podcast with yourself, Lori, and some other different co-hosts. Do you mind giving a sneak peek as far as what this may or may not be in the future?
Yeah, Lion Haya from Delaware and I are really, we were having some conversations that I think as Lions we're told we're not political as an organization, and we don't talk politics, and so the conversations that we were having were between two friends sitting on a long bus ride, and we were talking how even though these aren't conversations that you would have necessarily at a Lions meeting, we all still are having these tough conversations. And there's a presentation that I've been giving called The Power Words. And so we know the power is service. We know that Lions are the power that we have out in the community doing service work. But I look at these kind of tough times going on in the world and in our country, where conversations are getting more difficult to have because people are getting upset and getting mad if you don't see eye to eye on things. And so, part of that battle is just being informed and being as informed as you can. So we had the idea coming up with a podcast where we would talk about these tough conversations that we know Lions are having, just not in a traditional meeting environment. But not just having the conversation between the two of us, we're going to pull in experts. So I will say that the first one we've decided, first of all, it's going to be called The Human Thread. And the first topic we're going to hit is immigration. and Haya has her own story of immigrating, we're going to pull in an immigration lawyer. So we have someone who knows the ins and outs of this, like from the time someone reaches our border to the time someone crosses into our country to the time they have to make payments to, here or there to get this paperwork, the whole process. We want the real information out there so that people can make logical decisions and have good conversations in their community. I look at this as an opportunity, even though things are tough right now, that Lions can be in our communities having tough conversations, but we can provide a non-political environment for people to escape to, but we can also make sure that we are holding ourselves accountable. So if we are posting things on our personal pages online, even though they're personal pages, people in your community might see these. So it's being mindful of the words that you use. It's being mindful of the information that you're putting out to make sure you are not contributing to the problem. And I just think Lions have this amazing opportunity to be quite powerful in that way with our voices and the information that we choose to share.
I think you're right on. The art of discussion has gone by the wayside anymore. There's even someone that can be totally opposite of how you yourself think. You should still be able to come in and have a conversation with somebody without anger and just be able to, if nothing else, learn and to be able to hear what the other person is and to be able to acknowledge that they have the different opinion and to be able to go from there. That's, as far as I see, that's the only way we actually are able to move forward and become a better society, is be able to listen and hear. There's a big difference between listening and hearing, and then being able to go from there.
Absolutely. And I know, we plan to pull on some of our own experiences. And I will say that there are places that we have traveled where immigrants are coming in daily. And if you see some of those things firsthand and you see how they're traveling in these, you can't even really call them boats, and how the amount of space that this big group of people have, this very little amount of space, and they're traveling for hundreds of miles or whatever across an ocean to try to get to a better life. It puts things in a different perspective. So we're hoping to be able to share some of that insight, but really rely heavily on experts in the topic that we happen to be discussing on that podcast, and just trying to get information out there that's accurate and timely, and if nothing else, just to help our Lions be more mindful in their conversations.
I think it's necessary, isn't it? Unfortunately, because we rely on news programs, newspapers, Facebook, all these different media that we consume, and we have to take it. We tend to take it on face value, and you have to be more critical than that. And you can't believe everything you say on Facebook. You can't even believe everything you say on the news, because there's generally an agenda pushing it in a particular direction. So, I think Lions is in a great place to allow something like that to happen because of our diversity and our inclusivity. Mm-hmm. We have people from pretty much every walk of life, every religion, every culture, pretty much. We have the opportunity to really sort of educate people and show the benefit of tolerance and understanding. We don't have to necessarily agree with people, but we can see their point of view and accept it as a different one. I think it's a great idea, and I can't wait to see these shows. It's a great idea, and good luck with that.
Thank you. And I know Chris and I he was in the original conversation that we had that night, and we found out very quickly that the two of us did not agree with Chris on quite a few of the subjects, but we walked away almost, really laughing at the conversation, because it was more of a challenge, like, well, I'm going to go look up this, and then I'll meet you again, and then we're going to talk about this again. So, it is possible to to have these conversations, even if you don't see eye to eye on a subject, because I know in the end that Chris and I see eye to eye on a lot more than that one topic. And there never should be one topic that keeps you from being friends with someone or keeps you from having a conversation. So, even though I know I was right, it was still a great conversation to have. And I'm sure he learned a lot.
Well, you are Queen, Lori. He has to bow down to your status, surely.
Well, I can tell you that one of my things I like to do is actually to be able to be challenged and be challenged on the different things that you had always maybe been growing up with, the different facts or the different things that you grew up thinking a certain way, and to actually be able to know how you back yourself up. And if you're just doing it because you were told to, or that you should be doing a certain thing, you should really challenge yourself, make sure that you have a strong standing on where you stand. Because if you don't, it's all it's going to take is one person to trip you up, and you're going to be falling down because you don't really know why you believe what you believe. And that's no matter where you are. And the second part is you have to be able to be okay with having people have different opinions, and it's their rights. And I think it's the biggest problem we actually have is people think they, just because you have a different perception of some way that it needs to go, that is the only way. And I don't see any different culture in a ways that anybody can really go that way, because it doesn't stand, and we have to be able to be in a diverse culture and in a place where we can all have different thought process, because if we all have the same thought process, then it's not very fun.
No, absolutely not. And, to expand on that a little bit, I think that, I will say that I personally have a really hard time, because Lions are so inclusive, we're diverse. We don't turn people away. We don't speak ill of each other. We are a non-political organization. So, I do struggle somewhat when I see a Lion on like Facebook, for example, that I know they are this great Lion, and I've seen the work they do. I've met them. I know them as a Lion, and then I see something quite hateful put on Facebook, or just copy and paste it or whatever, and I know that these people aren't hateful people, and I just sometimes have a hard time connecting the two. Like, if you're a Lion and you're out there and you're serving your community, and you see the value of the food shelves and these programs and things that we do, and our partners that we have, whether it's the United Nations or whoever that we're working with World Food Programs, things like that. It's sometimes hard for me to understand this attitude that you're putting on Facebook and what I know that you're doing in Lions, because I don't see how they connect. So it's kind of with that idea that we want to have these open discussions, and it's not a right or wrong kind of podcast. So we're not telling one side that we're saying this is the right way to think. We want to bring facts. We want to bring people that are involved with whatever that situation is, whether it's people that have immigrated themselves, people that are caught in limbo in that immigration system, because it's quite messy, it's quite lengthy, it's quite expensive, and people like immigration lawyers who have dealt with this for years, people that can give us the whole truths on this, based on their experience with this, not just something that's being read.
Thinking, you were just saying, Lori, that these people you're talking about, these Lions that are serving their community, but at the same time they're putting comments on Facebook or sharing comments on Facebook that are a little bit unlinistic. I wonder if it's about the definition of community for them. Maybe the definition for community for them is very narrow, whereas community for me, and I think for you guys, community is global. We epitomise the idea of where there's a need, there's a Lion, and a lot of our Lions clubs certainly are very, very local. They're concerned about their village, their town. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe it comes back down to local against global.
Yeah, and we know that we've seen the disconnect between our grassroots Lions and international for sure, and that's one reason that as we were traveling so heavily and seeing the projects around the world, I was sharing those projects on social media, because these are, most of our Lions have given either personally or through their clubs to Lions Clubs International Foundation. So I really wanted to stress that if they have given $1 to the foundation, that these projects that I'm showing you, you contribute to these. These are your global footprints that you are leaving. And every time you give $1 to our foundation, you have a global footprint. And these are the kinds of projects that you're helping with. And people aren't always aware of what they're doing outside of their community. They're not aware of the value of that $1 that they're giving to the foundation. So we've really tried to bridge that gap by sharing as much as we've seen and the projects that we see Lions doing around the globe. And you're absolutely correct in that. We automatically look at Lions as global because that's been our experience with it. But we know people within our own clubs that they the Lions that can't get to district conventions even, they are community based, and it's important. It's good that we have those Lions, but we do want them to understand that they do have a global footprint as well.
Yeah, I think the Global Week of Service has really helped as well. I think it's 3 years it's been going now. I've been on 2 of those. I'm fortunate enough to say that I've been invited on those, and it really, it gives me a real opportunity to see the bigger picture. But I've been working in Romania for 25 years, so I've already got a flavour for it. But I was on a meeting just last night, and my district governor said, it's amazing what you do going on these service weeks. I don't see it like that, to be honest. I don't see it as it's amazing what I do. I think it's an amazing opportunity that I've got. And most people that I talk to, there's so many people that want to go on the Global Week of Service. It's I'm a bit scared as to how many people Daniel's going to have on these things in the future. What do you think the future of the Global Service Week is? Do you think it can continue to grow, or do you think there's a limit to it, or does it need to change?
I think it can grow as much as we want it to, and it's just going to be a matter of having different teams. We might have 20 teams that week out and about. And Morocco, certainly, there were so many projects. All these places we've gone, there are definitely more projects than just the ones that we did. So I see us maybe expanding into multiple groups in that same region, and each of us doing our own whatever projects, and then also having a time that we would all come together for a dinner to share experiences, share videos of the things. And my cuckoo clock from Germany is going off right now.
Well, we are talking about international.
Well, I know that as far as a Global Service Week, to me, some of the things that we really look at, and the things that I look at how we expand, is one is us as Lions and us as just any other different group. How are we working together with next to us? We talk about going, it was wonderful to get to Morocco this last year, but I know there's places in a state next to me or a couple cities down the road that needs help, and that could be a great start. We're actually looking at putting together a Leo, which is a young Lion group, in August, to talk about how people look at doing a local service week and how they look at getting together and see what they can do in their community. And I think that's the next part of this, is seeing how do we get together. And if I want to invite someone from across the United States to come and participate, then they can come and participate with us here. But we can see that there's so much need. There's always needs that are around there that we can do. And we just need to get people to actually get up and do. Get up and serve, get up and empower those to help them do.
I would love to see, and for Lions to understand that they absolutely don't have to go overseas to do Global Service Week. I would love to see us get groups, but just get them outside of their community. So even if it means going to the town next to you to do Service Week that week, just to mix up our clubs even, and get them working together and seeing other projects, just something outside what they would normally be doing. I think it could be incredible.
we share ideas. Even though someone's like a city away, they might have a ton of different ideas that you don't have, and you'll be able to see, and they might do something at 10 times better than the way you do it, just because it's a different process.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you can learn.
But it's not just about the learning, is it? It's also about the making friends, the socializing side. I think COVID really hit hard, certainly in this country, in terms of getting lines together from neighbouring clubs, etc. Zone meetings and that sort of thing. And I think we've still got to rebuild that. So district week of service or a multiple district week of service would allow us to do that and make those connections again, and also, like you say, learn from each other.
Well, I know that there's one thing that's being done in the United States right now. It's these things called service carnivals that are going throughout the different across the United States, and they're hopefully going to be putting these in different libraries and helping out in the different communities. So if you have not heard about that, lionsvirtual.org and follow us on Facebook, Lions Virtual. There are different service carnivals that are taking place all around the country, and so if you want to take part in that, please reach out and be a part of that. So that's another way of going forward.
Yeah, I love the idea of those carnivals, and I'm hoping that we can bring one to do a countywide one here, because we have so many clubs within this one county, and I think it just could be so tremendous.
Well, we were lucky enough to get our wonderful videographer that we all know, Billy Big Guns, to record something that we did here in Delaware. So we're looking to that to go live pretty soon and showcase exactly how that was done, and just to show how it helps out the community. So look for that as well. I think it's a great opportunity for us to do service in our area and to help out others.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be doing Tri-Peak Challenge with us, so he's going up the mountains with me. Yeah.
No, they're not letting him into the UK, are they?
I think so.
He's actually one I'm hoping to get on the show, because Billy has done so much, and he goes and he does quite a bit, and he never really asks a whole lot, and he just does, and he's got a great voice that he does great video through. So we're hoping to have him on the show as well later on.
He is extremely talented. The videos and the photography that he has done for us. We have extremely talented Lions for sure.
We certainly do.
Good deal. And one little plug here yet again for Telethon 5, June 1st. If you have not signed up yet, go to lionsvirtual.org and put in your email address, sign up there, and it will give you the link to where you can see Telethon 5 in your time zone and in your language. So go there, it is telethon.org, but lionsvirtual.org, so you can find out and sign up there. Any last different comments, Lori, that we can get from you?
I would just tell people to kind of keep an eye out on social media as we talk about new and upcoming Lions in Motion events that they can attend. Of course, at the International Convention, we try to have a virtual or in-person 5K fun run walk, and we plan to do that in Orlando. Since the dates all kind of got switched, we're not sure what day we're going to be able to have it, but we will be putting that on social media. We, of course, at the USA Canada Forum in Atlantic City, will be doing a Zumba with Varsha, and that's always a fun event. We are going to be at the Europa Forum in Dublin, and last year they did a Zumba event. So I'm hoping maybe our Lions at the Europa Forum can put together a Lions in Motion event there too. There's a second podcast that I'm going to be working on, and this is with Lion Norm McDaniels out of California, who has his own health and fitness journey that he shares, and that is going to be all health and fitness focused. He does a volunteer in motion because he works with Rotary in his area, as well as Lions, and then we'll have Lions in Motion. So we're going to partner together and bring in experts and try to get through some of the nonsense that's put out for people to, try this pill, try this exercise. We're going to go through the myths, go through the things that we definitely don't think you should try, and just have good, healthy conversations.
That sounds great. Well, best of luck to you. And I know that we'll be hearing lots more about all the great things that you're doing. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. It's great to have you on.
Last year on Telethon, we witnessed the power of inclusion in action. Here's a heartwarming moment from a Special Olympics event in India, where Lions helped bring joy, dignity, and celebration to athletes of all abilities. Take a look.
We are at the Lions Children Corner, Calcutta, in West Bengal, India. We have assembled here basically to play with these special children and as the part of our program working with the Special Olympic. These children, they otherwise don't get the opportunity to play normally with the normal children because due to their some challenge. This children park area is around 43 years ago we started this park, and we are running this park and we are maintaining this park from the Lions Club, and every day more than 1,000 children and adults are visiting this park. Apart from this, we run a public library here for the children, and we have computer classes, yoga classes, painting classes for these children. We are running a health clinic also, so by providing the health facilities to the people, the poor people, those people who cannot afford to go to the better hospitals, we provide all these opportunities there in this park. Organizing these types of programs, especially like the Special Olympic program, we want everybody to feel that they are equal. By organizing this Special Olympic program along with the Leos and the Lions, we would like to inculcate, and by providing the security to the parents of these children also, they are not separated, they are not left, they should not be left behind, and we create all the opportunities whatever is needed for them. Through these Olympics program, we try to build the confidence in these children and the parents of these children. I personally feel that God has given me the opportunity through the Lions Club to serve the people, those who need us. And always we try to work day and night for these children, not only for these children, for the people, those who need our services. True to our motto, we serve and we serve the world.
That's just one story. Join us on June 1st as we tell the story of how LCIF is changing lives in every corner of the world. Real people, real service, real change. Be a part of something global. Sign up today to get your personalized link delivered in your time zone and your language at lionsvirtual.org. Because together, we're not just telling stories, we're making them happen.
Thank you for joining us on Voices of Purpose. If today's story moved you, inspired you, or sparked a thought, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, live it, let it drive purpose in your own life. Until next time, stay grounded, stay inspired, and keep using your voice for good.